All right, let's get right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on something that is, let's be honest, one of the most maddening parts of looking for a job these days. If you've ever felt like your resume just disappears into some digital black hole, then you are in the right place. This one's for you.
You know the drill, right? You spend hours perfecting your resume, you write this amazing cover letter, you hit submit, and then crickets. Absolute silence. It's just so demoralizing. And believe me, tons of people are going through this exact same thing. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that a lot of the time, there wasn't even a real job to begin with?
And look, this isn't some hypothetical. This is a real person on Reddit who laid out their absolutely soul-crushing job search. More than 1,200 applications. For nothing. 0 offers. If that number, or just the feeling behind it, hits close to home, just know you are so not alone in this.
So, there's actually a name for this whole mess. And it's a huge piece of the puzzle. You're not imagining things, and you're not going crazy. What you're running into are called ghost jobs. And honestly, just knowing what they are is the very first step to fighting back.
So let's unmask these things. What in the world are these ghost jobs that are haunting the job market and just wasting so much of our time? Okay, so here's the simple definition. A ghost job is basically an ad for a position that a company has zero intention of filling right now. It's a phantom, right? It could be for a job they've already given to someone, or maybe one they have to post because of company rules, even though they already know an internal person is getting it. And sometimes, yeah, the job just doesn't exist at all. Now, it's really important to draw a line between the two main kinds of ghosts here. On one hand, you've got the straight-up malicious scams. You know, the weird texts offering easy work-from-home gigs that are just trying to get your money. But what we're really digging into today are those unfilled corporate postings. These are the tricky ones, right? They're from legitimate companies on real job sites, but they're still incredibly misleading. And that really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? If there's no real job, why on earth would a company bother posting a listing? Well, the reasons, they're complicated, and to be honest, they're pretty cynical.
Okay, so there are a bunch of different motives here. A big one is just perception. Posting jobs makes a company look like it's growing and doing well, which, investors love to see. But it's also an internal game. It can put pressure on the people who already work there, making them feel like they're easily replaceable. And in this kind of uncertain economy, companies are also just building a database. They're collecting resumes for potential future openings, a practice sometimes called resume farming. It's like they're hoarding talent without actually paying for it. On top of all that, they might just be trying to figure out what the going salary rate is, or maybe they're just checking a box for some internal policy. It's really all about them gaining an advantage, and unfortunately, it's at the expense of your time.
And hey, if you're thinking this is just some rare thing that a few shady companies do, think again. Get this. According to one survey, a wild 7 out of 10 hiring managers actually believe there's a business benefit to posting ghost jobs. I mean, they think it helps morale, productivity, even revenue. This isn't some accident. For a lot of companies, it's a deliberate strategy.
So the damage from all these ghost jobs, it goes way beyond just making you and me frustrated. This whole practice is having a huge, distorting effect on the entire economy.
Yeah, this isn't just about job seekers feeling beat down. The massive number of these phantom listings, it's like looking at the economy through a funhouse mirror. It gives everyone, economists, policymakers, all of us, a totally skewed picture of what's really going on in the job market.
Let's break down the two stories this creates. On one side, you have the official story. The government data comes out, it shows millions of job openings, and everyone thinks, wow, the labor market is super strong. But then there's the hidden reality. A huge percentage of those so-called openings aren't real. They're ghosts. And that illusion of a super tight labor market can mislead policymakers into thinking the economy is healthier than it actually is. They might make the wrong calls on things like interest rates, all because they're working with inflated phantom numbers.
Okay, deep breath. We've defined the problem. We've seen the damage it's doing. Now let's get to the most important part. What can you actually do about it? How do you take back control? Let's build a strategy.
The approach here is pretty straightforward, really. It's 2 steps. First, you've got to get good at spotting the telltale signs of a ghost job. And second, you're going to shift your whole mindset, away from just blasting out resumes and towards making targeted, high-quality applications.
So how do you spot a ghost? Here's what to look for. First, is the job description super vague and generic? That's a red flag. Check the date it was posted. If a job has been sitting there for months and months, it's probably not a real priority for them. And here's a big one.
Always check the company's own official careers page. If the job isn't listed there, you should be very suspicious. And finally, trust your gut and do a little digging. If a company has ghosted you before, or if you see a bunch of similar complaints on sites like Glassdoor, believe them.
Okay, let's circle back to that Reddit user from the beginning because their story is the perfect example of why this new approach works. Remember? They sent out over 1,200 generic applications and got absolutely nowhere. Then they changed tactics completely. They sent out just 4 highly customized applications for very specific roles. And the result? 3 job offers. The difference is it's night and day.
This quote from that same person really just says it all, doesn't it? Targeted application is king. Otherwise, it's just spam. Thinking about your job search less like you're sending out spam and more like you're running a targeted marketing campaign, that is the absolute key to cutting through the noise and getting real results.
And that really brings us to the future. With new laws popping up about pay transparency and some governments even talking about banning ghost jobs, you have to wonder, are we finally about to exorcise these phantoms from the hiring process for good? Or are they just going to find new, clever ways to haunt the job market? It's a huge question, and the answer will really shape the future of work for all of us.